Hello, every pony. I have decided today that I am going to be doing some designs for Searching for a World That Doesn't Exist. Searching for a World That Doesn't Exist, or wait, what's the acronym? SFAWTDE. I feel like it's more difficult to say than Searching for a World That Doesn't Exist. Let's just say Searching for a World. What I want to do today is I want to take the Minecraft skins of the characters in the ARG, take the elements from the ARG about their characters, all of that junk, and then make some headcanons, make some design choices, just have some fun. Let me get these references. Oh my god, he's huge! Okay, so I have a confession to make. Those of you who are in the Searching for a World fandom and are observant may notice the files that are open on my drawing program. First of all, I have done some traditional art in which I sort of started to understand the characters. I drew Avery in my main sketchbook. I sort of did some brainstorming, some ideas. I did him as a cube, I did him as a little guy, I did him with various hairstyles. Not like a whole lot, but I did some brainstorming. And then, in my personal tiny little sketchbook, a little bit of referencing from some armor, and what I found is that a lot of fan art uses feudal armor. It's a specific kind of helmet and style, I think. But it's kind of merged with Roman armor, Roman soldier style armor. It's either or a mix of both. The helmet style, the cloak, everything. Obviously the skin itself is based off of the Roman soldiers, so I think I can work with that. But I have done a lot of brainstorming for Durlord specifically. Oh my god, it's kind of embarrassing. But here we go. I took all of these references, but some cool helmets. This helmet especially I was influenced by, and then I took his skin and some more just kind of cool stuff. And I tried to get some ideas down. Getting to the elephant in the room, I did draw fan art. It's so funny, in the last video I was like, I don't know what this freaking ARG is, it's like some game Minecraft stuff. And now look at where I am. But these aren't particularly solid designs. Suggestive warning, but I did this one first. I was kind of shit at shading the armor, I didn't have the colors quite right, and I didn't know what exactly to do for Avery. What I want to do today is I want to take the little notes that I've made. I just want to do some brainstorming, I want to get some ideas down. I'll explain it a little bit more if you don't know about it while I'm designing, but I'm going in this assuming that you have watched the video. It's only 40 minutes long. It's actually pretty good. I advise you to go watch it if you're gonna watch this, but of course, with context clues, you'll figure out what's happening. Okay, I just need to get my freaking pen on the canvas at this point, man. Avery, I think, there's that stupid, clip that I've been quoting for, days now. It's like, what is up, YouTube? That is so him. And it's everything else is so serious, and he's just a little guy. Because he's a slime, I want him to be very round, obviously. Oh, you'll see that I have a pretty solid hairstyle for him. In terms of features, I have this little bit here, and then a little droopy thing across his face, kind of like Angel from Clinical Trials. The rest I'm not 100% sure on, but I really like this hair design. If I were to make a humanized version, which I might do, just maybe not for an actual video, just keep up to date on my Twitter. If I do a human design, he definitely would have dreads, you know what I'm saying? I feel like people have drawn that before. There's this Twitter user that got quite a lot of attention on some of their humanized angst and stuff, and I thought it was really nice. a rare interpretation of the media, I feel, because from the okay, studying I did, I see the characters like being taken as characters in their world. Like, in the canon, they are people playing a video game. Durlord acknowledges that it's a game, and Avery literally speaks to, like, YouTube. So, I feel like that's a little bit of a neglected side of the media. I personally am going to neglect it as well. It's like the humanized angst with, like, the implication that what has happened in Minecraft has really affected the real human being is really cool to me. Also, I really like this face shape I just conjured up. Hell yeah. Like what I've seen in, like, fanfiction and things, which I'm not, like, a massive fanfiction consumer, but I thought that it would be important. Fuck, I'm just making excuses. I thought it would be important if I kind of got a better grasp on what people, like, interpreted these characters like, you know? What I did notice is that there's a lot more Durking on AO3 than there is on Twitter. Mostly Twitter is Slime Night. By the way, if you're out of the loop for some other odd reason, first of all, why are you watching this? No, I'm kidding. You can stay. Slime Night is the ship between Durlord and Avery. And then, I haven't drawn the king in yellow, but Durking is the king in yellow and Durlord. I saw a lot more Durking on AO3, but mainly I think that's because people there are just, like, fiending for angst, which I like. But I do kind of have a little bit of a problem with how the king is characterized a lot of the time. Also, you'll notice that all of these are, like, faces and hair and, like, busts and things. These drawings, I just really want to get his face down before I do anything else, because he's got such a simple design. It's like a t-shirt and pants. So I really just want to get what's the most important down. But anyway, I have a problem with the way that King in Yellow is kind of portrayed. I'll get into that if I do a design of him, which I'm not even sure if I want to do. I think that, in my, like, humble opinion, it's really good for, like, angst and things to get the, like, characters to interact and all of that. But I think that a cosmic entity like that would not have, like, a personality, like how it's, like, so teasing, like how they like to portray it, you know? Maybe that's just the media that I've seen, but if you have any input, then I'd be super happy to know. But here are my little plans for my Avery. I'm gonna go in with something. What brush? I need to really think about what I want to integrate into Avery's design. Like, what sort of teeth would he have? Would he have a tooth gap? He can kind of seem more innocent and childlike with this tooth gap. Imagine his mouth being, like, open. Oh, that's so cute. Oh, my baby. I'm not actually that emotionally attached to these characters walk-in. Kind of reminds me of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles series, that kind of newer one. I forget what it's called. Okay, so there could be bubbles in the slime that make it look like he has freckles, but I'll put that on a different sketch just to get the design features separate, so that I can separate them as ideas and not just cram it all into one drawing. I think that a childlike appearance isn't exactly necessary. Like, not childlike, but, like, sort of innocent appearance isn't 100% necessary for this character, but I think that it's just an exaggeration of his, like, ignorance, you know, because, like, his ignorance of, like, the King in Yellow and everything that's happening, and not knowing what's happening with the book. All of that ignorance is sort of being distilled because we don't have that much content of these characters, or that's kind of just being distilled into being kind of like a little cinnamon roll that doesn't know anything. Which I'm guilty of a little bit. I really like him being a small, cute little guy because he's got big eyes on his little Minecraft skin. But I did play with the idea of making him kind of high-key buff. Maybe like, because if you think about it, if the character that I'm drawing is the Minecraft character, then all that like Skyblock, Bed Wars, I forget, all that like Bed Wars stuff is being done by the character. They would need to be athletic, no? The brawniness and then the innocence is a cute combination. I just don't want to lean too much into like character tropes of big guy doofus, you know, because he's not a doofus. He's just some guy. He's trying to have fun. He's trying to play Minecraft, and just because he can't solve this obscure cipher doesn't mean that he's a doofus. He's just ignorant to what's happening. It's kind of nose bridge should I give him, because I could keep it kind of soft like this. That's cute, but on the other hand, I could have quite like a... Ooh, I like that a lot more. I'm so sorry. Oh, he's so friendly looking. He's so friend-shaped. Fuck, this drawing is so bad, but it's just a concept. Who literally cares? I do want to, like, kind of merge his neck and chin a little bit like that, if I'm gonna go with that shape, because if he is, like, bulky but also round, then he's gonna have some, like, he's gonna have fat and muscle. Something I did with the design in my sketchbook and all of this other, like, fan art and stuff is I took the little flowers from his shirt and I put them in his hair. Like, this is really cute and all of that, and then the green and the yellow, it's quite nice, hey? Maybe I could put it on his face. Oh, that's so cute. I want to emphasize that it's also, like, some really nice imagery. I've been thinking about this ever since I first did it. It's like, the flowers are yellow, right? And he is just encountering the, like, king in yellow. He's not, like, encountering. He's just, like, coming across the concept unknowingly. And it's, like, it's begun to bloom. You know what I'm saying? Which is why my Durlord design has so much yellow in it. Of course, it's just his skin as well, but I think it works beautifully from metaphorical sense, I guess. But there's far less yellow in Avery's design because it's only just begun, you know? Whereas Durlord has kind of been immersed in the knowledge from the king and his life has been fucked up and stuff. I could give him an eyebrow. Yeah, I really like that, actually. It adds to the, like, brawn, you know what I mean, that I'm kind of going for, like, the more, like, tough. Oh my god, I could give him the, you know, when people put rings around their dreads, and also, like, Vikings in, like, their freaking beards and things. I don't know what they're called, but, dude, this changes everything. I could do, like, some designs on it. And it can be gold for, like, the king in yellow. And maybe it could be, like, maybe it could be from Durlord. Because it's, like, parts of his armor. It's, like, if he takes some bits off, like, maybe from the, like, rings around his fingers from his glove pieces. And then he could give them to Avery. And then if he takes it from his ring finger, it's like the marriage. I do want to say that my interpretation is not going to be like, they're not going to be like together, or like it's not going to be like a shipping thing, but I do want them to have this very interconnected sort of thing. I have ideas about them. They are swirling around in my brain, you know. You know, if I'm gonna make him like quite large and like got lots of mass in terms of like fat and muscle, I could make... Oh my god. Okay, so his his like white shirt here, I could like give him like a bit of like a belly. Oh my god. Okay. I just want him to be drippy, you know? Maybe I can make his nose drippy as well, just because it looks like he has a runny nose. Ooh, 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 ooh. Caveman. But I could give him one of those slime things across his... Oh my god! Oh my god! Across his mouth, like Rule's card! Holy shit. Across every iteration, I'm just cooking harder and harder. There are interpretations, of course, where upon getting like infinite knowledge from, depending on how you interpret it, viewing The King in Yellow or reading the second act of the play, The King in Yellow, Durlord gains infinite knowledge, and by gaining infinite knowledge, sees everything about... Whoa, Yowie! Fuck! Sees everything about Avery, and just, like... I really like this interpretation because it characterizes Durlord in a really nice way, where he's trying to defy fate, you know? Because upon gaining infinite knowledge and seeing everything that will happen, he knows that Avery will succumb to the King in Yellow or die, or something horrible will happen, like his panic indicates. He knows this, but he does it anyway. He knows it, but he still wants to prevent it. I feel like his whole theme, Durlord, is hubris, because he just keeps on going. He knows that he's in danger, he keeps on going, and he reads the book in Carcosa, the one that's left behind by the person in the village. He reads that, and he doesn't turn back, you know? It's all hubris and wanting to know what's out there, and he's kind of scared, he doesn't want to admit it, but he just keeps on going, because it can be different. Maybe if he doesn't leave, then things will be different. He just thinks that he's diff. He's built diff. And I feel like that's largely indicated by all of these tricks and like quips he makes with the hopper and all of that. He's just trying like tooth and nail to do everything he can, and it's beautiful. I feel like Avery has the most personality, but Durlord has the most character. You know what I mean? I feel such like a sense of freedom coming back and designing freaking Minecraft characters. Like, holy 2020, holy 2021. If you're out there, you know who you are, if you're watching this. But I would make IRL friends by saying the word PogChamp, like, out loud in the wild. And they would be like, oh, you know the Dream SMP? And then it would just be joyous. And I was enjoying myself. And we were all enjoying ourselves. I choose not to think about what happened to everyone afterwards. I did want to give him a little bit of toughness, you know what I mean? Like, he's a little calloused. I see people give him facial hair, and if I make it a part of the slime, maybe if it's like... Nah, the freckles. No, he's meant to be tough. He's meant to be tough. But I do want to add those flowers back on the face. I do like that idea, and I do want to see how that might look. If it's in his hair, and his hair is kind of a part of his body and his slime, then why would the flowers not grow on his face as well? And other things. Maybe he has... Nah. I was gonna say maybe he could have flowers instead of hair, and then this is just like a part of his body that's like kind of just coincidentally looks like hair. The particular image I have, which you guys are gonna promise to not judge me, okay? Look at me. You're gonna not judge me. Okay, so if we lift up his armpits, then what if there's like flowers instead of like bodily hair? You know what I'm saying? Maybe I'm too much of a freak. Maybe the people who are normal, who are in this fandom, are looking at me and I'm just like, what the fuck? But do you see the vision? Like, here's his shoulder muscle, Here's his teddies. Like, do you see the vision? That's just something for you to chew on for a little bit. How's that? How's that? It's just a little treat, okay? If not for you, then for myself. These little bits where the slime, like, juts out but then merges back in with the main form, so it forms like this loop. I really want to try a bit more of that, especially because all of my designs have this shape where the hair like flops over the face, and I want to keep that kind of consistent. I could give him like a :3 mouth, oh, that's kind of cute. I'll keep that as an idea, just because he's kind of amorphous, you know. Dude, I could give him like to add to the like roundness, I could give him yes, I don't know what they're called, but those little like fatty deposits under the eyes. Am I cooking? All of these kind of look like ass, but that's okay. They're just ideas. I'll highlight what I want to keep and what I don't want to keep. Oh yes, I wanted this to be blobby, so it's going to be like... Shout out Pragcations fans. I know who you are. I get comments on their videos constantly, like, oh, your art style reminds me of Pragcations. They're just quite a big influence on me. Intentionally or not. Like, there have been art style studies that I've done of their work, and whenever I get comments like that about my work being similar to theirs, I feel it's flattering, you know, because they're a talented artist that I look up to. But I don't want to not have my own style, you know what I mean? I've also gotten comments, I should stop reading comments, like, forever, but I've also gotten comments that my art style is unique, which I'm not sure how it's unique, but I really appreciate that as well, because I don't just want to be a Pragcations clone. Of course not. I have my own interests. Yeah, I don't know. Those who get it. I say that all the time when I like blank out on how to explain something. I'm just like, those who get it will get it. Shout out to those who get it. Comment down below. Okay, so I have my little Averys. I'm going to like take a big brush and see what features I like most, see if I can combine them into a kind of coherent design, and then I'll take it onto a different canvas and start playing with outfits and colors. I'll try and finish it by today. I'm sure I can get it done. Anyway, I'm gonna regret this. I need to move literally later this week. I don't want to have to do this while I'm in a different environment. The audio is gonna be different because of the room size, and it's just gonna be like, oh my god. Okay, I like the gap tooth quite a bit. I'll take an orange to say I'm neutral about the idea, because if I want to have this this little fleck on the mouth, then having the gap tooth might be a little bit too much going on in that area. Obviously, I really like the like blob of hair. I think that it really conveys the amorphous sort of form, like, so I want to keep that. And I also need to be consistent in that, so I do want to keep things like this in the design. Obviously I do like the flowers. I might be more minimalistic with the flowers in the hair. In here, I just sort of scattered them around, but what I do like quite a bit is how they form like a line here. I could do maybe a Roman sort of thing with the flowers over here to contrast Durlord's knight, like soldier design, and then this can be kind of like based on Caesar, so it's kind of like this is who he's serving a little bit, maybe. But in my opinion, Durlord is a avatar of the King in Yellow, and my interpretation is that he is therefore the Prince in Yellow. No obvious biological like relation, it's just the title. So for these to kind of indicate a royalty in Avery might be a little bit too much of the clashing of the themes with the king in yellow and then the prince in yellow and then who's this fucking guy? Eyebrow thing I really like. I think it joins together some of these shapes that I have happening with like the slime, you know? It's really cool. Like, I feel like it makes it more coherent. The flowers on the face I'm kind of okay with. It might be a bit much, but if I can, I might counterbalance the flowers over here with some flowers over here on his face. So I'll do that if I feel it's necessary. So let me see if I can take these design elements and put them together into something coherent. I might just do a speed paint, maybe talk over it. Hello, hi, it's me. I'm from the next day. I just wanted to use this as a brief intermission. I was not expecting that much like positive reception on my last video. I think that most of it was due to the thumbnail being quite eye-catching, but it got more views than my sketchbook tours, which I was really surprised about, because my sketchbook tours, they have this like similar commentary and it's got tons and tons more drawings, and they're about the same length. They're actually longer, so I'm not quite sure. But anyway, you can check those out if you want. I keep hallucinating the League of Legends client background music. But that's besides the point. But what has been happening in my life recently? I'm going to university very soon. Very soon, as in like January. I'm gonna be like enrolling in all of these courses and things. It's really nerve-wracking. I'm gonna be leaving my little town behind. It's like so stereotypical in all of this junk, but I'm so nervous. But yeah, I really want to, I talked about this last time, that I really want to open some art commissions, but I feel like I need to garner a little bit more of an audience first, which, you know, I wasn't expecting to kind of succeed. Like, it isn't an insane amount of views or anything, but I have started to slowly gain traction over like various social media. It's not a healthy thing to do, to base your opinion of your art off of the reception of others, especially. I might redo some of my commission site with a bunch of outdated freaking artworks. But the cool thing is I need to be getting a consistent art style. Like, there's stuff that's just like doodles, then there's stuff that's like rendered in a particular way, but then there's stuff that's rendered in another way. And I need to be a little bit more consistent. I don't think I'm as experienced in digital art as I am in traditional art, but traditional art is really like difficult to get commissions off of in the online space, at least in my experience and what I've observed. I don't know, I think that recently I've been doing a lot more digital art, and it's been really, like, I've been sort of getting into a process. I've started sketching in a way a little bit more consistently, and so I think that I can slowly become more consistent, and then through that, people will learn what to expect from me. You know what I mean? I think that that's all I can really think of. So, back to designing stuff, I guess. Yeah. It is now 11 p.m. And I have finished my Avery design. I'm pretty confident in it. I like what I did with the colors. This isn't like a finished AF drawing. It is now 11 p.m. And I have finished my Avery design. I'm pretty confident in it. I like what I did with the colors. This isn't like a finished AF drawing. Like, I just wanted to get down the ideas and the texture, and I really like what I did with the highlights. I don't really care about the clothes. I did what's basically on the skin. I tried to emphasize that the cloth is quite taut around his belly, and I gave him a tail. It was a little bit last minute, but yeah. I actually really like the teal. I really like the tail and how the drippiness of it. I'm really glad I made him so drippy. I'm very happy about that. Now let me save this. I didn't go ahead with the like cuff I'm not sure what to call it, around his little hair bits in gold that I wanted to do, even though it was an idea I really like. But maybe it can be like a chronological thing, like maybe later on in the story he gets it. I also thought a lot while drawing this about putting his hair up into a ponytail at some point, which I'm like, oh. I also added some bits of pink. I see a lot of people drawing him changing colors. Also, by the way, this pose which was originally supposed to be him holding a fishing rod, but he ended up being like, with this character having a fishing rod, being quite bulky, wearing like this outfit, like hello, the like khaki shorts, like he's such a uncle. I don't know how else to describe it. He's like an uncle. He's like, wanna go fishing? And then the nieces and nephews are like, I don't know, man. I don't want to get all slimy. I want to make my Durlord design. Woo! You'll see here that I did quite a bit more. I'm quite happy with the helmet design, which it looks mostly like this. And I also think that I if I were to draw him with ears, they would be like pointy elf ears. And so I think that this sort of in the silhouette is a nice like replacement for that. It kind of reminds me of how Cookie Run Kingdom did Elder Fairy Cookie, because he's obviously like an elf, but they did everything in their power to add those elf ears to that silhouette, even when it was like the cookies don't have ears, you know what I mean? Fuck yowie. But what I want to focus on is, you'll see that I have this reference here. The artist is over here, Alikun 14. I thought a lot about this, like, when I saw it, and I was like, dude, that's, like, so how I want his face. And so, I think that, because I'm happy with the, helmet design, I just want to iron out the rest of the armor and his face. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw his, like, character design without the helmet, like, unmasked, you know? So I'm just going to bring in that reference there. I also put down here that I kind of wanted him to cover his face with his wings. Like, I was inspired by this with the helmet and everything. Obviously, I can't include the helmet if it's... or maybe it could be, like, tilted up. It could be, like there's a hinge here, and then it goes, like... I might play with that, actually. That seems quite fun. Okay, so I'm gonna have to do, like... larger scopes than my Avery one, which focused on his face. This one is definitely going to have to focus on more like torsos and things like that, and then I'll just scale them down to try and get all of the concepts in one image. So this probably won't be done within the hour, but whatever. So what I was thinking about is the characters contrast each other so much, right? Like Avery and Durlord. And if Avery is brawn, then obviously Durlord is the smarts, right? Like, that's his whole thing, basically. And so, what if... I was talking about this on, like, a Discord call the other day. You know how these Roman armor things have, like, the muscles as a part of the design, like, over top on the gold? Maybe he wears that to cover up the fact that he's actually quite scrawny, because if he's the smarts and Avery is the brawn, then maybe he's just a little guy. And I don't want to, like, make excuses for making another fucking twink out of a Minecraft character, like has been done time and time before. But I think it's just a nice contrast. I'm a sucker for hair that goes down like this. Holy shit, he got that jelly cut on. Holy. He has this, like, cloak thing. You'll see that it has, like, a little pendenty thing here. Well, not pendant, but it holds it together. In this design, like, this concept right here, I'm gonna see if I can make it, like, a toga type of thing. So he has the wings on the side of the head. And this is I didn't explain it at all, I apologize. But I took this idea from certain helmet designs that have, like, sort of wings on the side. I'll see if I can show some on screen, because I can't find some in the references there. That have sort of wings on the side. I don't know. I think it would be kind of cool if he was kind of like avian, like with feathers and things. I don't want him to be completely human. I chose this sort of design for inspiration because I've seen a lot of ideas that he's like pitch black under the like mask, like that's his skin. And so I did want to do something very non-human. What if it was like starlings, where it's like iridescent bluey bits, you know? What do I want to do with the hair? So I think I might go with this sort of shape that this inspiration here is doing. I'm not going to do it completely and utterly like them, of course, because I need the hair to be red, because my idea is that the like red bit over here and on top that's like for display is really just his hair, which it's don't worry about it being A, historically accurate, and B, practical, because I can do whatever I want. I talked about this in my last video, but I talked a little bit about how Ryo Suzuri does like so those flat noses, and I kind of want to do that. Right now it looks kind of feline, but I'll see how I can integrate this into the design. I can see what I can do. I do want to play with the idea of him having a shit ton of eyes. I wrote that down in my notes as an idea because Avery's eyes, you might have seen in the sketch, but I kind of wanted them to be blacked out. Not the sketch, the speed paint. I wanted them to be blacked out because it's another like another piece of imagery like suggesting that he is unaware, you know? And then whereas Durlord is painfully aware. So I would love to have a shit ton of eyes under the helmet, and imagine like the helmet, this is the kind of shape that's happening. Also, I really like the that triangle coming down the middle, having the silhouette of a beak, that might also indicate he's kind of avian. Also, avian sounds similar to Avery, which is a complete coincidence, but whatever. We can say that it's on purpose and how the soulmates and boyfriends or whatever. Yeah, imagine this like shape of the helmet, and then there's just like a shit ton of eyes looking back at you from inside of it like this. Like, is that not cool as hell? Maybe I could play with the idea of him being like a shapeshifter of some sort, because I don't want to have his face entirely covered with eyes. I could play with that idea. The idea as well with the wings and the face is that when his helmet is off, he can cover up his face to cover up all of those eyes to like indicate like the shielding of all of that information. But of course he didn't manage. It's just another like attempt, another like display of his hubris and his extreme effort to keep trying and keep doing everything he can to fight against what will happen to him, you know? Fuck, I make it sound poetic as shit, but I think I do genuinely think that that's like an incredible character concept, and I don't know if it was on purpose, but if that is on purpose, shout out to Wifies, whatever you say, because that would be cool as shit. I really like making OCs with lots of themes, but very vague and strange ones. It's kind of similar to what Durlord has happening with like the hubris and the continuous trying and all of that stuff, and stuff that builds like a really complicated character, which is why I think it's okay. I'm going to talk about Husband Hotel. Those sort of characters are adored because they're easy to predict, because they have such strong personalities. The characters that I like to make so opposite to that in the fact that they are so driven by reason rather than trope. And it's not a bad thing to be driven by trope. It does make for very strong characters, and they are predictable because their personalities are strong. As awful as some of them might be, I'm just, they are adored because they are predictable, and you can kind of put yourself in any sort of scenario with them, and you'd know what they would say. Insert image of Cartman saying, "My pronouns are he, they, thanks for asking," or whatever the fuck. He is supposed to be a lord. And I did say that he, in my head, is kind of the Prince in Yellow. I actually really like that. And it kind of, it's not exact, but it kind of reminds me of the Crown of Thorns. I don't know if it was Jesus who wore it, but if so, the imagery of sacrifice, you know, like, he subjected himself to all of this supposed infinite knowledge in the interpretation that I'm, like, employing, and then used it for the sake of others, you know? He didn't really do anything for himself, he did it for Avery. Oh my god! I love them. They're so... It was kind of a sacrifice. He didn't do it knowingly, because obviously he would not have done it knowing what it was beforehand, but using the knowledge, he still, I don't know if it's appropriate to call it a sacrifice, but you know what, I'm gonna go with it because I think it's cool. How about that? Fuck you. I do know a little bit about the King in Yellow book, and I know that there's a short story about the sigil, and I did want the sigil over here, but there was so many different interpretations of the sigil. When I was hearing about it, I thought that it was just, like, it was pretty set in stone, like, we had a visual for what it looked like. But I just saw so many different interpretations of it, because I think that H.P. Lovecraft also did some stuff with the King in Yellow and making a avatar of the King in Yellow be Cthulhu's half-sibling. So, I don't know if that muddied the waters on, like, what the yellow sigil looks like, because there's so many interpretations now. And he does look very king-like. I feel like that's appropriate. He's beginning to get on the level of the King in Yellow. You know what I mean? Let me explain why I interpret him as the Prince in Yellow. The King in Yellow, I feel like this is a popular interpretation, but I feel like there are some people who don't know about it, so bear with me for a second. The King in Yellow is supposedly all-knowing, right? Knowing about, like, everything. And so he knew everything about what Durlord was trying to do. So the idea that he was trying to stop him, why would he do that? What was the purpose of all of those trials and tribulations that Durlord went through on his way to Carcosa? Carcosa is the name of the, like, is it a city or a village? One of those, where the story in the play The King in Yellow takes place, if I recall correctly, and it's by a lake, which I will put the name on screen because I forgot. I interpret the lake to be that, like, waterway that Durlord went through. If anyone who knows better about the series sees this and is like, what the fuck is this person talking about, then please comment below, because I like interpreting things, but I am not all-knowing. So please tell me if I fuck up. But anyway, when he was being, like, chased and things, and I don't think that he was in any real danger. I think that he was being toyed with, and I did say earlier that I don't like the interpretation of the king being teasing, but I do have to say that that does lean toward that, like, him being toyed with, you know, because The king knows everything about what he's going to do, what will happen. That was definitely not an attempt to stop him, you know? I believe that since it was always going to happen, like, I adopt, not in life, but in terms of the story, that the all-encompassing knowledge is under the rules of fatalism, where one thing will be what will happen and there's nothing like do to stop it. I don't believe that in real life, but I believe it in the context of the story. So the king always knew that Durlord would come into contact with whatever he saw, whether it be the king himself or Act 2. The king knew that he was always going to end up there and whatever will happen. Why would Durlord's character not be entirely defined by the fact that he was always meant to see this, at least in the king's eyes, which will be all-knowing and therefore right? You understand what I mean? I think that he is not like a prophet or anything like that, but in a prophecy he is a character. And so that is his character, that is who he plays. And he enacts the story whether he likes it or not. The king knows that he will, he doesn't, but it will happen. So why should his entire character not encompass this inevitability and be this prince, be covered in all of this yellow, have this crown, have all of the eyes of the all-seeing knowledge, you know? I'm not trying to write a story or anything, I'm just trying to make sense of the pieces that I've put down. His hair has enough volume to protrude out through his helmet in, like, a way that has that silhouette. So maybe he just has, like, a shit ton of... Okay, no, I don't like that. I can pull this off. What I need to figure out right now is the armor. I definitely want him to have a lip shape that is like this, you know, with the little dip inward. I can't imagine him with anything else, I'm sorry. Maybe if he had a longer neck, it would look more bird-like. But overall, I'm actually really happy with the way that this looks. I just need the crown. The thing is that the crown is shaped like this, right? But then the hair is shaped like this. How do I fit those two together without it looking goofy? So I think I might just have to go with like a middle part like that. It's a shame I can't have those little bows in the hair, you know what I mean? But you gotta do what you gotta do, you know? There's a popular Dark King fanfiction. I sound like such a dweeb, but look at what I'm doing. I'm creating Minecraft character designs. But there's a popular Dark King fanfiction where Durlord is interpreted as autistic. This is my interpretation from where they got it from. He pays very close attention to detail. I'm autistic myself, and I've gotten much better with not letting it bother me, but small details in just any sort of stimuli, like in hearing, but obviously visual stimuli, like him spotting those signs, seeing the discrepancy, like the pattern recognition being to an extreme level. Muscle memory, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to give him a thong. With him being, like, portrayed as the smartest ARG protagonist of all time, it might be leaning into the whole, like, Sherlock Holmes fucking autism. You know, where it's like, they're so good at this, but they're not social, but they're smart. Because they have autism. Autism is a hashtag superpower. But whatever. It could be a, like, valid expression of neurodivergence through this character, I think. To have them be a little bit more non-human. I often feel quite non-human, like, as an autistic person, just in social situations in life. It just feels like everyone is so separate from me. We're basically a different species, you know? But I don't know, it's not entirely on purpose. I also just want him to look like a freaking bird because of the wings and all of that stuff. You know, it's something to think about. If he is kind of avian, does he have a tail? I don't think so, because Avery already has a tail. Don't want to add too much tails. I want to have them contrast each other just a little bit more. I could play around with, like, feathers over here because he is feathery. I could play around with like feathers over here. I have no idea what to do for the lower half of the design. Okay, some of these do need a second sketch where I just iron things out. If I have this pendant holding the cloak and then it goes over, then this is the faux like muscle bits. I really like the idea of him having gloves, so I'm afraid that's non-negotiable. Either gloves or like arm pieces. I don't know, whatever. I'll just leave it like that. What I've seen with some of these, but especially the pantless ones, is there's kind of a skirt happening. There's some really nice, really complicated layered ones. The armor pieces over top of the fabric, like this. And then there's also pants, of which are tucked into something which I want to make kind of metal armor bits. That can kind of lead into a more bird-like silhouette. Yes, with the... He doesn't have to have, like, actual bird-like legs. It can just be... If I can execute it better, it can just be the silhouette of the baggy sort of trousers tucked in to the boots. I can do boots. I need to get these references in here before I lose them. I really like the little bits and doodads on the belt of this one. Looks too much like a plaid skirt. I'm sorry, I don't want to baby girlify him that bad. I don't have the strength, I apologize. Where I don't have the silhouette for the shoulders like this, I could put in that back in the gloves like this, or maybe even the like boots, because I do need to keep that shape consistent. This is a very difficult design. Okay, I might just leave it here and then come back tomorrow, because I think I've made decent progress considering like this. I've got through quite a few ideas. I've kind of solidified what I want for his face. I just need to figure out the logistics of his armor, what they look like, what sort of thing I'm gonna reference it from, and how that can correlate with his character, and what it symbolizes in my head. So yeah, I think I will see you guys tomorrow when I create the rest of this design and design the king, hopefully. Okay, see ya. Hi, I am going to try and iron out the Star-Lord design now. That's all I'm gonna say. I'm just going to make a new layer. Let's see what characteristics I like here. I need to keep the cloak. I need to keep the armor having like a muscular finish, and that's about it. I just need to figure it out from there. Keep the bird theming, keep the eye theme, and do what makes sense. I think what I'm gonna do is a slightly different method that I've been trying out. Yes, this is only the next day. I draw a lot, I'm sorry. I really don't know if I want to have exaggerated pauldrons like this. I said that yesterday, but I'm just going to make this silhouette have them so that I can have a silhouette without them and then see how it goes, you know? Maybe with that I can have the cloak interacting in a different way, but let's just go along with the silhouette. Should I do Burning Spice style? Nah, I think that this would be the best if I'm going to do these. But let me carry on with that shape down there. It's almost like dragon-like, which I quite like. Did he have a crown in my last design? He did sometimes. And I think I might exaggerate it just a little bit more like this. So I can maybe kind of have it similar to like a crest and a beak. I don't want him to have a shit ton of eyes, I've decided. Just a lot more eyes. He's so bird. Hell yeah. I've seen a lot of people drawing him kind of buff. My design is not out of like an attempt to be #different. It's just my interpretation, of course. But I can definitely see why, because like if he's a knight, then it's expected of him to be built. But I like the idea. I explained why. The contrast, all of that stuff. Let me do things more rough this time. Actually plan out the body a bit more. Meow. Okay, sorry. That West did something to me. Heels? Holy. I kept saying I'm not going to baby girlify him that bad. But let's just put that down as an idea. That's more of a medieval knight look. And I'll put that down as a concept. And then I'll try out the Roman knight look. Well, the more Roman knight look. Because obviously that's what it's originally based off of. And there are some features that I just can't forego. Maybe he rests them like this. Nah, it gets rid of the silhouette, which I am struggling with, as you can see. Maybe if they're higher up. I quite like that. It kind of reminds me of Zagreus a little bit. Okay, let's see what I can refine here before I move on to the next idea. I'm just going to do vague colors. I'm not going to do any shading or anything. Maybe just to imply that it's gold a little bit better, but what a waste of time that would be. Maybe it could be more tattered, and that's how I can sort of fit it over this. I still want to have the shape of the armor underneath to show, but maybe I need to not get too attached to my ideas. I could do it around like this so that it's more like a scarf maybe, and then it can be more around the back where it's a cloak. And obviously this main armor piece right here. I think I might be straying too far away to the point where he's not amazingly recognizable, which is a little rough. I feel like he needs to have a nice brown in this design, not that desaturated. There we go, that's good enough. That, frankly, is an awful color palette. Frankly, I'm not a fan. Maybe if I put some more straps like this. I have seen a lot of designs where the belts kind of overlap. If I give him gloves underneath the, like, gloves, you know what I mean? If I exaggerate the silhouette with his scarf, cloak, obviously all tattered like this. It's something. There's something there. I can play with the idea of them being black like the rest of his feathers, which I can imply to be feathers like this. But I do need white for the eyes. But then I need to bring it into the design somewhere. Maybe instead of gold, bits for the belts and straps and things like that. And then the same with his shorts. Don't ask why it's a garter, I just needed something to put there right now. I could give him a streak of like white hair from like stress that can bring in something. Okay, I think that's gotten better, but it's only one concept, and I do want to play a little bit more with these ideas. I might want to color this just to have that crown design idea put in this canvas pretty clearly. Maybe it could be more like turtlenecky and it can make him seem more reserved. I like that idea. But then it's too much with the different reds. Okay, maybe if I make it dark enough, or vice versa, if I make the other light enough. I actually really like what's happening with this design over here. Maybe I could make his eyes a little bit more yellow to make him more creature-ish and a little bit jaundiced. Hot. Oh yes, the wings. I could put them in like that. Okay. But I really like the silhouette that was happening here. So what if I don't know if I'm a massive fan of that either, but maybe I'm just messing it up. I'll keep it like that for now, and then I can just shade in these gold bits and see how it will end up. I do want something to emphasize this shoulder silhouette though, so maybe like some sort of detailing. Chunky R belts. And the straps. Okay, let me just make this look a little bit more coherent. Ugh, my arm hurts. I should practice better drawing posture. I should relax. My arm and my shoulder. Jesus. Ow. Oh well. We'll have to see whether the dark hair, light scarf, or dark scarf, light hair, which works better in the overall silhouette by the end. Okay, those are some concepts. This design is kind of beating me up. Like, I'm not so 100% on what to do anymore. Let me take a look back at these. If I'm going to, if not remove, then calm down these shoulder bits because it makes him look too warrior-like, where he's supposed to be a smart little guy. So I'm going to see if I can try and base it more off of the Roman, like, general sort of look. So, let's see. Duh. Need to figure out how to draw his shoes. I really hate drawing shoes. They're not my strong suit. I really just don't care about them. Just why they look like that most of the time. I do want them to be armor-like, but they look like prosthetic limbs, right? But let's see if I can fix that with the color matching with the armor to imply that it's also a part of the armor set. I think I'm just going to make it like armbands, kind of. At least in terms of the armor on the forearm, just because it kind of matches the Roman look. I kind of really like the feather, like the wings being black, just like the rest of the feathers. I don't know why I didn't think of that. I always imagined them being white, but in hindsight, why? Okay, let's try dark cloak, light hair. The original skin has an extremely dark cloak. It does make him look more lord-like, don't you think? A lot of Dark Lord interpretations have his hair is black and then the red just being a part of the helmet like it was intended to. But I really like the idea of him having red hair. I really prefer the darker red hair, but the darker cloak looks better. Maybe if I darken this, but not to the extent that that is dark. Okay, let's see how we can bring in this red now. It's a little bit too little to counterbalance it, right? And plus, if there's red on the armor here, then there's meant to be, if it's all a matching set, I mean, then there should be red on all of the armor, no? I actually really like that pattern. It does kind of look feather-like as well. Was that a success? Maybe his gloves can be red. I don't know. Maybe I could give him partially red gloves, like it's just one finger. You'll see what I mean. I'm cooking, trust me. Ooh, and then this can kind of imply the shoe shape that the Romans had going on. Sure. We'll go with that, for now at least. I think I want the cloak to obscure him a little bit more. Like I said, I wanted kind of like a turtleneck looking thing to make him look more reserved, just visually. It's quite nice, actually. I might just need to change up the brown bits and their tone, like their undertones, to make it a bit more warm. And then, like I said, I wanted the yellow sigil. I don't know, it looks something like this from the images I've seen that I've taken like reference from. Do I still like the little streak idea? Or does it stand out too much? We'll see. We'll have to see. Let's see how this looks with the helmet on top. Let me just decapitate him a little bit. And now let's see if I can remember the shape of this thing. Don't question how the crown is a part of the helmet, but also it's its own thing when he's without the helmet. It's just, it just happens, okay? Shh, shh, shh. And then I'm just going to raise up the wings to aid in, like, implying where they came from, like the helmet designs that they came from. Let's just say that he needs to position them like that in order to fit into the helmet. I think with adding the helmet, it kind of puts into perspective some of the other design features, so I might go back on these. What I'm really not sure about is this whole segment here. The pants being brown kind of sucks, but I don't know what to do. I'll see if I can get inspiration from the actual skin itself. So let me undo some of this silhouette. And then I really don't want to imply that he doesn't have pants on, but it is dark on the skin. Maybe he can just have shorts, but it's like that. Let's go in with some lines, see what we can do. I think the pickaxe is messing me up right now, so I think I might have to get rid of it, at least for now. It's recorded over here, like the idea. I think that's decent. It's okay. I don't know what to think about. This is a design. But I think I'm just going to like mash together what I like of these handful of designs and get some final drawings like I did with Avery done. Yeah. I finally finished my Darlord design. I'm actually really happy with this. It was a lot more of a struggle than with Avery. Overall, I'm more happy with Avery than I am with Darlord, but I think that's just because I'm not experienced in armor design and all of that stuff. And as separate as he is from the actual Minecraft skin, I'm quite happy with it. I'm quite happy with how I devised the colors, the cute little design elements, his exposed thighs. Just as a treat. I didn't include his face being colored up with his wings, but just know that's canon. I gave him his pickaxe. I just went with like an iron or stone pickaxe because I forget what it was. And then I went in with a bunch of cutesy little like stylized highlights on the armor. The armor I purposefully left like pretty unrendered. Same with the cloak, but specifically the armor. You'll see that I have rendered the armor before, but since this is just for the sake of getting the design down and like on the page and it's just conveying the ideas, I didn't want to focus too much on the rendering of the gold. Just as long as you can see that it is gold, then I'm happy. Right now I'm thinking of Avery giving Darlord flowers, and that makes me happy. You'll also notice that I gave him a little piercing. I just thought that would be fun. In the concept sketches that I did, it was in brown and it was going to be like this leather little bit, but I think it's a cool design choice and it's a nod to how I was going to give Avery one, and maybe they could be matching someday. Maybe I can draw them matching. Aside from some tweaks, I think that I'm pretty much done with Avery and Darlord. I decided retroactively to not do the king. I mainly wanted to focus on Darlord and Avery, and I'm really happy with them. I'm really happy with the colors, how they contrast each other in like body type, etc, etc, etc. But I did want to do some ideas for the king because I've seen some stuff around and I wanted to do my interpretation. This is when I first adopted that sort of planning style. I'm really happy I actually did this project of like designing these characters because I discovered a really fun way of doing concepts where I do like my sketch as usual and then I do the colors over top with a like 70-60 like slightly transparent lasso tool and then bring that over top, and it's really fun and it keeps the lines and it adds a lot more clarity to what I'm trying to draw, and it works really well and it's really quick. And you'll see that I did that in my Darlord planning as well. This king design I did before I did Dur's concepts just because I wanted to do something with my time, and there was a bunch of like gardening and lawn mowing happening outside and I didn't want that to be in the recording. So I was like, why don't I just do this for now and then showcase it as a little treat, because I don't think I'm going to decide solidly on a design for at least this video because I don't know, there's a lot of ideas I like here but nothing I want to settle on because I don't know, it's what we have the least of visually but I have the most ideas for, so I really don't know what to settle on. There's some complicated ideas, there's some simple ideas, there's some stuff that's just kind of cool that I might want to put in, so I really don't know. I'd love to see your feedback though. But yeah, I don't know what to end this video off with. Maybe my interpretation of the characters, just like a summary. So my interpretation of the story is that Darlord is a part of a prophecy and he is an avatar of the king in yellow. And he is the prince in yellow, and he was always meant to go through the actions that you see happen in searching for a world that doesn't exist. And knowing this, the king messed with him along the line, putting him through all these trials and things and teasing him, I suppose. My previous interpretation was like, I really don't like it when people make him all like cocky and teasing, but you know, upon doing these drawings of him with like a cocky little smile and thinking about how he treated Durlord, I think it's pretty cool actually. As he goes through Carcosa, discovers all of this, he keeps on trekking on, he's this embodiment of hubris, he just thinks that he can outwit anything, and he just keeps on pushing and he keeps on trying to defy what in the letter, or like little note from the previous like Carcosa inhabitant, he knows that there's something that will happen and he thinks that he can still defy it. That's his whole idea. So when he sees either act 2 of the play, the king in yellow, or sees the king himself, depending on your interpretation, I'd still like to think that it's kind of blocked out, we don't know. I don't know, I think it's more fun that way. So whatever he sees, he gains infinite knowledge, or knowledge of everything that will ever happen. And then he sees Avery falling victim to the same fate, and he does not want to subject anyone else to this, and so he writes that letter. This is pretty canon, right? What I have to think about is, how do they interact? It could be cool if Durlord is slowly going insane, he puts that letter in place, then Avery somehow backtracks and then finds Durlord to try and find out what happened. Then they have some character dynamics stuff happening where Durlord doesn't want to egg him on further, but everything that he does is already prophesized and already will happen. So everything he does that he tries to prevent Avery from seeing this, it only makes the like fate fulfill itself, the prophecy fulfill itself, which is tragic. And this toxic yaoi, kind of toxic, just angsty yaoi. Assumedly Avery succumbs to the same fate, but he didn't have the mental fortitude that Durlord did, and he dies, I assume. I think that Durlord might commit suicide first, seeing that everything, no matter what he does, everything just fulfills itself. I think that he would kill himself, and then that obviously inevitably also leads Avery to investigate further and become a victim. So yeah, that's my little interpretation. I'm just rambling, so it's not really linear and it doesn't really make a lot of sense, and it might be difficult to understand, so I'm sorry if so. But if this gave your little Minecraft yaoi obsessed brain some food for thought, then I'd be so happy, because I've been thinking about this quite a bit, and I'm really happy that I'm done, at least for now. I might post king designs on my Twitter and Tumblr, but other than that, I'm done for this video. And god, it was such a project. I was thinking about it for like a week straight, and then I finally decided to sit down and do it, and it took me so many hours. But overall, this little thing for funsies is really valuable to my artistic journey, I suppose, because I learned how to do some concept design, like concept art in a flow that I really enjoy, that has some nice coherent output that expresses my ideas well, and I got some cool little guys out of it that the community can hopefully eat up, and this video that the community can hopefully eat up and interpret and think more about this media. Obviously this is before part 2 has come out. I'd be so upset if part 2 comes out like while I'm editing this, but I am excited to see what happens. Everything that I've interpreted might be retconned, but that's okay. I'm really happy about it right now. So yeah, keep drawing Minecraft yaoi, and thank you for the positive reception on everything. Go follow my Twitter, go follow my Tumblr, and go look at my sketchbook tours if you enjoy my commentary, because that's what I did the most commentary in. Okay, that's all. Thank you. Bye bye. Bye bye.